welcome back to my channel. Today the video is on the Nevaeh bowler bag by RLR Creations. This is a fantastic bag. It comes in two sizes. The large, which is really large, and then the small, which is still large. The large one, I used my embroidery machine and I embroidered the panel there and there, so it's open to so much interpretation. I haven't sewn across the seams across the bags yet because my machine's not very happy at the moment, so I'm just trying to work that one out. And then the smaller one is still absolutely, you've still got a blank canvas here, there's so much you could do with it. The pattern is a drop-in lining. Now, I'm not a fan of drop-in linings. I don't have a free arm, so I struggle. So in this video we'll be doing it with binding. Don't panic, don't worry, it's fine. And I always say, if somebody's going to turn your bag inside out and inspect your binding, go for it, whatever. Now, the pattern actually has your straps like this. Now, I decided that one, I didn't have enough vinyl to make the straps to match in this, and my webbing that I could find was almost 2 inches, and these are only 1 inch. So I was creative and made these. They're not perfect because I did it on the hop, but it's such a bag that's open to interpretation. It is a fantastic pattern and I really like it. I will say, if you are after a perfectly polished video, this isn't for you. I have had no end of problems, not because of the pattern, user error. My sewing machine decided it was going to skip stitches. It's had a complete hissy fit, so I've taken days to do this, and there's a few bits that they're not perfect, but do you know what, we all struggle to make bags. We all have days where it doesn't matter what we do, it goes wrong. So I'll show you how I put my mistakes right. There wasn't many, but yeah, it's, even we struggle to make bags sometimes, and I have struggled. I wasn't going to send this video out, but I don't think I can take another one going wrong and then not sending it out. Life's been a bit tough, like most people at the moment, so here it is, warts and all, and we all struggle to make bags. But I really hope you enjoy this tutorial. And it's a fantastic pattern, and yeah, go for it. Okay, so we're going to start to do our zipper gusset. Now, you'll need your B pieces, and as I'm doing binding, I have also cut my lining pieces to the same size. So in this bag I will be doing the binding method, and not the drop in. So I want to take our zipper tabs, I'm risking it using double-sided tape because I wonder if I'll be able to pick it off. And then pop it over. want to grab our zipper tape. So I've got my zipper tape. I'm using Zipper by the Meter. Zipper pull. Right. Again. So taking my ruler, I am going to pop this on down here and add a clip. Now I've done it so that I folded both ends over and I will stitch them on. Now to take that, there is again measurements in the pattern to show you what your finished length should be. So that's there. Right, so my finished zipper needs to be that length. So what I do is I've drawn the length, folded this in half, and I've put a line on that will show me where I need to line this up to get that zipper to the length that's required with the tabs on. Put in the ends. Again, there's instructions for the large and the small. Just double check before I stitch that they are the required length. Which it is. Now I'm just going to top stitch these down. So now we've done that, we're going to get our piece B, top bit, we're going to place it on here. Trim this down. some reason my machine's not very happy. You can't see, but it's chewed my vinyl. Again, this is slightly different than the pattern because I'm doing binding, not dropping lining. I'm going to stitch that down. I'm just going to use, making sure my sides are level. And just do a small seam allowance just to base this down. Machine doesn't seem very happy. Done a small seam to base the two together. Now I'm going to take my B piece and place it on top. Sure we've gone for construction length stitch. Making sure our zip is out of the way. I'm now going to stitch with the full seam allowance. Coming up to the zip, so we'll just use the presser foot. Move the zip out of the way. Of oil. Now we want to seam looks a bit slim in a bit. Okay, so I'm just gonna went a bit bit slim at some point. Over. If you're using fabric, you can give this an iron. But I'm using vinyl, I can't really. So I'm going to grab my, she says, grab my leather roller. I'm just going to give that a roll, pushing the seam down, help it lay flat. To lie flat. Now going up to our top stitch length, I'm going to stitch along here, and then I'm going to carry it on round the whole thing. Should have, and I haven't caught it all, caught the lining, because we're going to do a lining, because we're doing drop in, it will help sew it all together. So now we're going to do the other side. I find it easier to clip both ends. And then manoeuvre the zip in there. Sometimes you just need to give it a bit of a jiggle. and a smush, and you find it fits. And then you can do one of two ways, like we did a minute ago. Baste it and then add your lining, or if you want to live really dangerously, you can add them both at the same time. But just make sure you don't do what I've just done and put it on that side. I am worried. Oh dear, maybe I should just go to bed. Turn it over and clip it on. So you are sandwiching the zipper in between, not like I just did. But hey, we all make mistakes. And as long as we notice them before we start sewing, or we can rip them out once we've sewn them in, it doesn't matter. It will just be between you and me. Right, now sew with the given seam allowance. My zip's the other end. Back down to construction length. Move my zip out of the way, put my presser foot up. Making sure to line these up as I'm doing a binding. Leather roller. Up to top stitch length. Right, so we've done the centre panel. I did have to go and sort my machine out because it wasn't very happy. So now we're going to finish the centre gusset. We're going to take our D panels and we're going to clip them on the ends. I have a new work table, so I'm trying some different angles for you guys, and I'm hoping that they record this time, because I know a few times I've not hit record. So now we're going to sew these with the seam allowance stated in the pattern. So we're going to sew that now with wrong sides together. No, we're going to sew that together now with right sides together, and with our construction length stitch, remembering to start and stop. And remembering to back stitch at the end. You can see I've just somehow made my gusset just slightly too small, but that's okay because we've got a generous seam allowance in the pattern. That will be okay. So that's why it's really important to make sure you get all your measurements and everything. Now we're going to go up to our top stitch, which is about 3.5 to 4 on my machine. Still not happy. Quite bulky over this bit here, because I'm using vinyl, so you can see that's quite a thick thing, but my machine still doesn't seem very happy. Okay, so I've gone and had a play again with my machine as it wasn't happy and it skipped a few stitches and things. It was the tension too high. I realised after doing some Googling, I had my tension disc too high, so I threw all my tension out. Right, so now we're going to stick our second side piece on. Let's hope I have sorted it now, with the same seam allowance in the pattern, and up down to construction length stitch, which is about 2.5. Remembering to start and stop at the back stitch. Oh, it seems happier, she says. That was the zip catching. I'm going to up my stitch length. that is now your finished gusset. No, it's not. We need to do this bit. We need to take our bomb. Right, okay. This is sortable. You know when you have a bag that you just think, okay, let's give up now. This might well be it. Let's keep going. Okay, so okay, I've now unpicked the top stitching. I don't know if this is going to work, but we can give it a go. I'm going to use a hairdryer to see if I can melt the holes a bit. Done it before, but I suppose they're a little bit less maybe on this side. I'll give it a go, but I wasn't able to get all the stitches out because my machine, because the tension was too tight, was making smaller stitches. Let's see that. There's the sort of, maybe not. Right, so now we've sort of rectified that mistake. We need our lining pieces, and we're going to place those all wrong sides together. I'm using ripstop I'm using ripstop vinyl. That might be the wrong way around. So we're putting right sides together. I might have said wrong sides, I meant right sides together. So that's the right side, that's the right side. And the same one here. Right side, right side. And I measure make sure I match up the corners, because then if you give it, because it looks like it doesn't fit, but if you give it a wiggle, it all fits. Right, so now I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to stitch it on the line that we just made. Back to construction length stitch. Same on this side. Back up to top stitch length. Because we're doing the binding method, we are going to top stitch and then carry on and just baste these two bits together. And what you can do as well, thinking on it now, is just in here, not too close to the seam, but just give it a snip so that you've reduced the bulk. So if you look there, that's a lot less bulky than trying to go over all that. So just means then when you go to sew the lining together, put the binding on and sew the sides, it's less bulk in that seam. Let's do that to the side while I remember. Can you see the difference? Let's see. So that's a lot thinner there, and that's quite bulky there. I mean, you could cut the whole seam down, but no, my luck today, if I do that, I'll probably cut the whole lot off or something. Right, so now we're going to top stitch. I'm going to top stitch down a bit further just because of the mess up earlier, up to my construction top stitch length. heavy bits. Well, as this isn't going anywhere, it will be a gift or whatever. Let's see what difference it makes. Cutting that down to our top stitching, as my machine is still not happy. Sorry. Right, well, looks like it was slightly more happier. So that's the difference. So you can see a difference. It's much neater, so it would be worthwhile cutting that down. I think it says in the pattern to cut it down. So that makes it a much neater and less bulk. So that's a way around it. Let's just base these on. So, moral of the story is, make sure you cut your seam allowance and on your side bits down. And I'm sure it says to do that in the pattern. I'm just having one of those minutes. Okay, so we're going to do the connector bits next. So you're going to need your connectors F, which are these ones, and G. Now, I've done mine slightly different, which you know. And what I've done is, because my vinyl's quite thin, is I have as my vinyl's quite thin and it's going to have quite a lot of weight on it, I've glued some Decaville Heavy to the back of the strap. I've already done the others, and then what I've done is I've edge coated. I didn't have pink, so I've done a silver. I've edge coated this, so I've glued it because I didn't want to use iron in case I melted the vinyl. So what I'm going to do is, off camera, I will quickly do this edge coat around this. I put a base and then a top coat on, and then we'll be back to finish. Right, okay, so I have edge coated this. I will do a video, but I'm not very good at it at the moment, so I'm still trying to work it out myself. Bit damp still. Going to slide the D-ring on, and then I glue the back. This is still a little bit damp. I will do that in a minute, but we'll start with the next one. So we want our two bits that go on. So we're going to, I've already done this one. So they're going to look like this. So you're going to put the big one down and then you're going to put the little one on top. Mine have turned out quite thick because I've put the Decaville heavy on them as well. So just bear that in mind if you're using heavy stuff. Right. So in the pattern there is instructions on how far down to draw, given for the large and the small. Right. So then I'm going to take our large pieces and we're going to line them up so that this bit here lines up with that bit there. And line. And again, line up. Now, as I'm using vinyl, I'm going to glue them. It gives them a bit extra stability as well. Just make sure you don't go too close to the edge because the glue will seep out. Now you want to be really careful how you place this back down. Try not to put my head in view. Yeah. And again. Making sure to keep it out of the, away from the edges. And then push down. Give that a couple of minutes to dry and we'll stitch them. Right, so what I'm going to do is I have pulled out the bottom thread and the top thread. What I'm going to do is stitch round without back stitching, and I'll show you why in a sec. Again, I'm going to pull it out. I have an automatic thread cutter on my machine, but I'm not using it at the moment because we're doing this. What I'm then going to do is turn it round this way and then pull up the loops. So now where I had thread this side, it's now all here. I'm now going to tie it and then this just means on bits like this you haven't got any back stitching, so you haven't got double stitches anywhere. It just looks a bit more aesthetically pleasing. Well, that's a long word for me, aesthetically. Right. Tie those off a few times. And there we go. So now you see you've got no back stitching. So now I'm going to do this one. Again, making sure I have my threads to the back. middle up. Always bring your wheel towards you. Cut the strings. Now, as you can see, I've got two bits here. I turn it over. Pull the loop. Pull the loop. Do a few knots. So this is just the same as back stitching it. You're just making sure you're locking all the stitches in. Right, so now we've done that, we've got those on, we are, it's dry now, so we're going to slide our ring onto there, and then what I do, some glue. Use lots of glue in this bit, and then give that a couple of seconds to dry, and then take this one again, right, okay, realised I didn't press record. That's the only trouble with doing it in this position, is trying to know if I've hit the record button or not. So I've put some glue on here, and then we're going to eyeball it onto there. I did try and show you the other one, but I hadn't obviously hit record. Now we're going to take this to the machine, making sure we've got our stuff out the back. That's quite thick a bit along there. Machine's not very happy. Bring your flywheel towards you. Third bit of thread. Next one. Not quite close enough, but right, so it's a bit thick for my machine. So note to people, see, it's not very good there at all, or there. It's too thick, so not so much heavy. Right, so now we want to tie this off. She says if she can even find it. And didn't catch at all. Right. So my machine didn't like the thickness, so it didn't do very many stitches, so I've gone to the side so that I can lock those ones off. Put these ones here. Right, now these stitches here didn't take, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stitch along there. Might be happier if I use my hump jumper. Which I made, it's just some vinyl that's been oh, now let's try. Too thick. See, that's why you shouldn't try things. And I should have just recorded the last one I did, because that went without any hitch at all. Right. Don't think I've even got any rivets big enough. See, it's really one of those days, because the ones I did off camera came out really nicely, but as I'm trying to show you guys, it's not happening. So okay, well, that's your straps put on. I'm going to go away and see if I've got some rivets big enough, and I will be back. Okay, so I went away and thought about it and had a look through my stash. It's not even straight, Claire. And I didn't have any silver rivets big enough, so I put some rose gold rivets on just because I think this one will be going to the naughty corner anyway. So that's what I've done. So now that's the exterior done, I'm going to do the lining pieces. Right, okay, so now we're going to do the slip pocket. So we're going to need our inside pieces and our eye slip pockets. Again, I'm using waterproof I'm using ripstop actually, not even waterproof, ripstop. Not sure what make it is. We're going to I'm going to stitch the top. The top bit is the slightly more curved bit because you've got the curve here, so the curved bit is the top. So I'm going to stitch across there with the seam allowance stated in the pattern, back down to construction length stitch. Make sure hold goes out of the way. Again, right sides together, and you want the curved bit. So with the seam allowance stated in the pattern. Let's put that over. Top stitch. And give it an iron if you want to. I am just flattening the seam out just so that when you turn it, it's a bit easier. Again, doing this slightly different to the pattern because I'm doing a binding seam. And then take one of your pieces, line the bottom up. Now the great thing is you can now put this, section this up any way you want to section it to store things. So first of all, I'm going to turn it over and I'm just going to base stitch it together. If I stay on the fabric, helps. Now, the reason I did it from the back side is, I don't know if you can see, but it's slightly off on some of it. So using my main piece, I am just evening it up. And then here, there's quite a big piece. So now, you can even that up however you want. And I might do 3 pockets on this one. I'm using construction stitch length on this because it needs to be able to, it needs stability to it, and also back stitching well on the top because it's a stress point. If you want to measure that, you can measure it. Don't forget that you will lose the seam allowance on each side. So I know you can't tell because it's all pink, but this is all right sides facing up. I've still got the fold from where I folded it and cut it on the fold. Just going sort of along that. Right. So that's now your inside pockets done. So we're going to put those to one side and we're going to get the external sides and the base. Right, so we've got our 2 side panels and our bottom panel. So we are just going to place right sides together and clip. I like to do one corner and the other corner and then work in. You have to find your centre point. I find the centre point and then the side, but as it's just a rectangle. So I'm going to stitch that. I'm going to go down to our construction length stitch. And then we are going to open that out. And we're going to top stitch. So we've butterflied the seam out, so we're now stitching it down like that. Now we're going to repeat exactly the same thing. Just realised I hadn't done my construction length stitch, so top stitch, it's a nice decorative feature as well as being practical in helping to reduce the bulk at the seams. Right, so that's now that one done. So now we're going to do the same with our lining. Again, right sides to right sides. Seam allowance. As we are doing the binding method, we don't need to worry about having taken a wider seam allowance. Right side to right side. Oh, look, I didn't trim that one up. Okay. Construction length stitch. Right, I'm not sticking the pockets in this. I do have a tutorial. I'm not doing a zipper pocket, but if you do want to have the zipper, internal zipper pocket, it is there is a video on my channel that shows how to put in a zippy pocket, and actually, funny enough, it is the large version of this one that I filmed, and I didn't film the last final steps because I forgot to press record. So the only bit I could salvage from that video was the pocket. So to see how Rachel puts her pockets in, you can watch that and just use the measurements given in the pattern. Just cutting the where I put the wrong seam allowance in. I'm just cutting. Oh, you can't see. I don't know. I'm just cutting. As I said, well done if you've got this far in the video. Again. Right, so now we've done that, we're going to start the process of putting it together to bind it. Right, so now we've done the things. You can see where, look, it puckered up. It's just one of those bags. I'd say it was made on a Friday, but we've not had it's a Saturday. So right, I'm going to line up those bits first. And there. And then there's still vaguely the line from the where I cut it on the fold, and I got the V on the front. So vaguely there, and there's the V, so I'm just going to line those two up, put them up together. Nice smush. And then what I'm going to do is take it to the machine, and I am going to just do 1/4 of an inch, or even just a scant 1/4 of an inch seam allowance all the way around, just to bind it together. Right, so I've gone up to 5.5 stitch length, and I'm just going to put these all the way around. I'm doing it this way round just because this ripstop has a lot less firmness to it, so I can make sure it's actually on top of the foam and all caught in. It will just make it easier to add the binding. Right, so now that's done, we are going to get the gusset. Right, okay, so forgot to press record button, so now I've taken it apart. Luckily I hadn't stitched it. That's something for today, I suppose. Right, so now we're going to need to mark our centre bits. So put a clip here and a clip here, and then fold and mark each one there. And I've already got my centre ones here, and I had to find my centre ones on here, so I put the two bits and clipped. So now, putting right side up, we're going to take our gusset and we're going to place right sides together. Now it's worth remembering that I wanted to keep doing that, and I was like, no, that's not right. This bit needs to come up to the top. So this is the top and these are the sides. We're going to take our clips. I'm going to put a couple there. And then I move to here. And I'll clip these two. Right. And before we forget, because I have forgotten, unzip our zip. Otherwise we ain't going nowhere once we've sewed it up. Line those two up together. Right. So now we've done a few clips on each. We've now got to work this excess in. So as you can see, we've got curves and straight. So sometimes what you actually need to do on the straight bits is just cut some tiny, only small, 1/4 inch. Don't want them too big because otherwise they'll go into the seam allowance, past the seam allowance. So it just gives the fabric a bit more movement. Especially as this is vinyl. Vinyl can be quite, not much give in it. It'll be one of those days where my clips are going to break as well. I'll just give everyone the heads up now. see how well that clips in then. I'm not actually throwing them on the floor. There is a bin down by the side of me. Oh, that's the side I'd already clipped and then realised I hadn't pressed play. I might have cried then. I mean, you think this is a big bag, you should see the big bag. It's big. Well, you will have seen the big bag because I'll have shown you a photo at the start. I just need to find a friend now that likes pink, because it'll only be any good for a friend. Too many mistakes to do anything else with. Right, so I've got a little bit of bulk here, so it's not quite fitting in. Can you see? It's thingy. So I'm going to take out, and I know it's just from this bit round, so I'm going to give it another go and a squish and a smish. Can you see I've got a bit that's not necessarily that's it. Not quite. So I've still got a bit that's not sitting. Right, so now we've done that, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and we're going to sew it together. Right, we're going to want to make sure we're on construction length stitch, and my trusty hemostats to help with the seam. So stupid lights. Right, so we're going to start. Let's start at the top here. Oh, stupid lights. Right. Right, so now we're going to sew this with the construction length stitch and using my foot pedal. So, remember to back stitch.
one of them that's...
Okay, well this one I'm certainly not sewing together in one smooth thing, but there nowhere does it say you have to do it all in one go. Just make sure you cover the, remember, start and stop at the back stitch. Said this bag, it's not the bag pattern because I've made one and it was absolutely fantastic. It's me. Well, that's one half done. One half done. Not very well. But hey, it's done. And if nothing else, it goes to show that even we have days where bags just don't work. For no other reason than user error. Right. Line up the stitches. Okay, well, it's done, but who knows? Let's turn it and check. Right, so it's sewn on. It's not the best. I think it just wanted to show you guys that even we struggle. I love this bag pattern, but today, for some reason, my brain just has not worked. Right, all I'm doing now is just taking out, evening up the edges a bit. I didn't think about my choice of vinyl. The last one I made, the vinyl was much thinner, so didn't have the issues that I've had this time. Quickly run my fingers through the inside seam to make sure they don't stick out of any holes. Nope, okay. Right, so now comes the binding. I'm using ripstop. Waterproof canvas works well as well, but as I've used ripstop inside the bag, I thought I would use ripstop again. I do like binding. It is a pain. Can be a bit scary, but I always say that's fine. If the person who receives the bag wants to unberth the bag, turn the bag back in and check my binding, they can go for it. I also like the structure that it gives the bag. It gives the bag a bit more structure. I think I did this one 1.5 inches. Yeah. I think the inch was just a little bit tight. Ripstop's become my new favourite lining because it's lightweight. I love waterproof canvas. Right, so now we're going to take that to the machine and stitch it on. Right, so now we're going to stitch that on. Oh look, I run out of bobbin. I lost bobbin. Okay, so now I have stitched the binding on, just checking that it's not missing off any place. Snips have disappeared. I think that looks quite cool actually. So that's done. I think does quite a good binding. Moment of truth now. I managed to get one little tuck sort of on that side. But I think that looks really quite reasonable. I love this pattern. It's just me today at this bag. Plus, I'm just gonna work the seams around the bag, open around the seams. And then we'll do the straps, the attachment slightly, because my machine didn't like it when I'd gone through the vinyl, and I'm using webbing which is almost 2 inches, and this is only 1.5 inches. So I decided to take this bottom shape to mirror the top bit here. What I did was I made it and then made this bit longer so that I had a piece like this, and then what I've done is I've cut another piece to put on there, and then this bit I'll loop through and then push through on there. So it's what I've done. I'll show you in a minute, but I've put a piece of Decaville heavy just along this bit, so when it folds there's a bit more support in the vinyl, and I've just made it a bit. I've cut the sides and burnt them. I will go through all this. We'll make the last one together, and then what I will do is I will stitch across here and then stitch across there once we've put it on. So we need our machine, and get the lighting right. Right, so we're going to take our 2 pieces that we've cut, and we are just going to stitch up that bit and there, and then up that bit and there. So I'm going to place them together. So we'll place them wrong sides together, add a clip. And we're just going to sew as close to the edge as we can. Okay, so my machine just kept going after I pressed the automatic thread cutter. That normally means that I have something stuck, a piece of thread or a bit of fluff in the bobbin bit. So I've just given that a quick clean out. Not that it was dirty, because I've already done it a couple of days ago. Let's see how we go this time. all sorted. Right, so now I'm going to clip this bit here, clip off the threads. And also, as you can see, it's not quite even with the edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim that to fit. Check from all angles. Right, now the bin's gone. Now we're going to need our tape and our lighter, whatever it is you use, and we're just going to cut the corners. Make sure they've melted. Right, then we're going to open up. Oh, what I have forgotten to do. Where's it gone? Right, I'm going to want to cut a piece of Decaville Heavy. This is just to add some more support because it might stretch over time, so the Decaville will just give it a bit more strength. So I'm going to glue that into here, like so. Now we're going to take our strap. So we've glued our Decaville Heavy. I'm going to open this up. I've already stuck this one on this end, so I want to make sure that I have the same piece on the same side. It's that way. Slide that in. Right, check, because you know the way my life's going at the moment. Check that you've got them the right side, so when you hang them on the bag, they're in the right place. Now we're going to stitch across the top. Do the same again. Now we're going to go over to our bag. We're going to, that's what I didn't check. Checked on all the others. Before you do that, you want to just check that your piece fits through your ring. There we go. And then we're going to open this up and post this through here. I only thought of this idea whilst I was making the bags, so I'm sure there's a much neater way of doing it, but for my first go we will have to try somewhere, don't we? This one's slightly easier because I actually put a thicker bit of Decaville Heavy in it, so it makes it a bit easier. Now I'm going to take that to the machine and I'm going to stitch it across. We've done that. Trim those off. My machine wasn't happy. Need to work out why. There we have the bag. There we go. Finished.